thank you for bringing us together for a chance to strengthen our connection with you. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Okay. We will pick up where we left off last week. Just briefly, does anybody remember what we learned last week?
I give the orders and my inner self carries them out.
Yes, that is correct. That is very good.
Great memory.
Yeah.
Cheers
It's
to
amazing. The week before we were talking about memory and learning and things. Okay, so this week, because we covered a lot of material, again, it's the nature of personal reality, and it's chapter 4, which is titled, you know what that title is, let's see, here it is, Your Imagination and Your Beliefs, and a few words about the origin of your beliefs. And then we're on session 621, no, 622, wait, I thought we were on 621. Yeah, there it is, 621. And then we marked where we ended last week, and we starred 3 different things, and then we picked one in order to focus on, which boiled down to helping us understand the structure of the fact that we have a conscious mind that's necessary in order to pretty much evaluate the physical world, and that's related to what free will is, and that our inner self will respond to the suggestions and beliefs and thoughts that we have. And so if we understand how this works, it boils down to this simple statement that I give the orders and then my inner self carries them out. And therefore now we have finally come into the 4th chapter, and this is how reality is created. Of course, there is this tremendous amount of energy that's provided by God every second, every moment, that helps maintain everything we see. However, within this wonderful miracle that we live, we also individually are creating our reality, and we give the orders and our inner self carries them out. I mean, it's so obvious when you think about it, but then it's something that we overlook, and then we begin to feel like, sort of, if you had to guess, half the time or half the nation or half the world feel like victims, like things happen to them and they don't have control over everything. Okay? Basically, if we understand how this works, we'll understand that we're drawing events to us by what we think, and that we basically aren't victims, and that we are actors in a drama that we're creating. And so if we can get a good idea of how this works, it'll help us be able to create better lives. All right, so we'll do our little box that frames the page, and this is symbolic. The reason I have us do that, because what we're doing is we're extracting out information. This frame, it's framing the discussion, it's framing what we're learning, and that's why I do that. And then the main heading is the title of the book. You can pick any book and do the same thing. We're specifically on chapter 4, specifically on session 621. Today's date, I guess, is 14th. And then we're specifically now, and this is basically going to be up to me because I'm running the group. However, if you do this all on your own, it's up to you what you focus on and learn. And if you think about it, that was just a small example, what I just ran through, of what I think. I give the orders to my inner self and it carries it out. Something as simple as being able to move your finger. And I'm just going to tell you something that's hard to believe. You aren't doing that. You don't know how how to create the finger, you don't know how to run the blood through there, you don't know how to get the oxygen there. This is our inner self, our soul, that is doing all this. However, our conscious mind that we think of as ourselves is sort of running all of this. We are in charge of all this tremendous amount of miracle and energy. So you say, I want to move my finger, I move my finger. But it's not like you know how to do any of that, you see? And it's, you have so much power that we even don't know what to do with it. All right, but what we will do right now is focus on one of these starred areas. And I'm going to read them again, and then we'll pick one of the two that we didn't do. This is pretty much on the last page before we end it. The last star, we said, in this existence you are physically oriented. I'm just going to stop for a minute. If you think about the implications of what that sentence says, it implies that according to Seth, we have other existences. You see how that works? Are you following me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, most of us hope that that's true, but we don't know. Okay. If you trust that Seth is who he says he is, then now you know that according to Seth, who lives in other existences, is telling us that yes, we do have other existences, just in that one sentence. And that's very important. In this existence, you are physically oriented. Another implication of the second half of the sentence is that in some of the existences that we have, we are not physically oriented. So it's very interesting if you take time to truly understand the depth of the meanings of these sentences. Then it says, surely then the conscious physically oriented mind is the one that is meant to make deductions about the nature of physical reality. Otherwise, you would have no free will. Now let me ask you, what we wrote down here, I give the orders and my inner self carries them out, doesn't use the word free will. So we may want to focus on that one tonight in order to pretty much give us more understanding of free will. Let's look at the one right above it. What is the sentence right above that paragraph? The last sentence of that paragraph right above it. Carol, can you see what it says?
In other words, the conscious mind gives its orders, and the inner self carries them out.
So that's the one that we focused on last week. Okay. The one above it that we underlined is imagination and feeling follow your beliefs. Okay. And the analogy that I use a lot of the times is make sure your rational mind is the driver. Okay. I don't know if you remember me saying this, but a lot of times, every moment we have feelings, okay, and we have emotions, and it's really easy to get carried away with those. And if we're not careful, they switch, and then the emotion is the driver of what we're doing and our actions and even our choices. And you can do that if you want. However, I want you to understand something. You've made the choice to let your emotions dictate your actions. And therefore, one of the beliefs that you have behind that is that it's okay for you to let the emotions dictate your actions, because basically always it says imagination and feeling follow your beliefs. So the belief is the leader, even if it looks like you're letting your emotions and feelings choose to run your life. Up above that is another one we started that said, I cannot say this often enough. Your beliefs form your reality, your body, and its condition, your personal relationships, your environment, and en masse, your civilization and world. Well, to me, that's the first time he put it all in one sentence. Okay. He says it in various pieces here and there, and a lot of times the one that we get out of it is that we form our own reality. However, he's made it just very explicit. So I'm going to break it down. It says your beliefs form your reality, your beliefs form your body, your beliefs form your body's condition, your beliefs form your personal relationships, your beliefs form your environment. That's where most people they don't believe that one. Your beliefs form en masse, that means the collection of everybody's beliefs. They mix, form en masse your civilization. And the beliefs en masse collect and form your world. That's what he says. All right, all of those are important. And if we pick one of them, then the next week we'll do the other. In fact, we have 4 of them here, and we've only picked one so far. So we have one that talks about free will. We have one that talks about the conscious mind gives the orders. We have one that makes it clear that beliefs are the ones who create the imagination and feelings they follow. And we have another one that explicitly states in very specific terms that our beliefs not only form our reality, he explains what that means. The reality is your body, your body's condition, your personal relationships, your environment, your civilization, and your world. Now, I want you to look around this room. Even me, who have studied this for 30 years, it is so hard for me to truly believe that my beliefs form this matter that I'm looking at, okay? However, if you read Seth very carefully, he says that's the case, and that every conscious being that's in this room is participating in that, forming the matter, and each one of us is seeing something different. So that means there's 5 different rooms of the conscious beings that we know, and I'm sure that there's probably thousands because of, shall we say, insects, bacteria, viruses. I don't know at what level it ever ends, and I suspect it doesn't. From what I'm beginning to understand, everything goes on what's called ad infinitum, and even the number of worlds. Now what's interesting, and I'm going to jump way out of the box. With all that said, he still says there's only one God. He says there may be another one, but another one has never been discovered. There's only one God. I think that's interesting. Very similar to what Christ said. All right. What do you think? Which one of these jumps out at you that you want to focus on this period of time here?
Well, for me, it's your beliefs form your reality, your body, its condition, your personal relationships, your environment, and en masse, your civilization and world.
That's very helpful.
Now, for me, it seems like to condense that down, it would be my beliefs form myself and all around me, and that would encompass all those other aspects.
That sounds great. One of the things about that is he says another thing that is hard for us to understand, and it all has to do with how we think. Okay. Almost every one of us knows that when we breathe, we expel oxygen or carbon dioxide, and oxygen we haven't used, out into the air. So right around us is matter, air, molecules that we just actually were part of our body just a moment ago. They came into our lungs, they're expelled, right? We get that. So in a small way, you could say, yes, part of me is expelled, you know. And we know, even though you might not want to talk about it, like when you pee or poop or any of that, that's part of us expelling. There's parts of us that do leave our body, right? But we're pretty sure that right where the skin is where our body ends. Even though with our eyes, it's easy to see farther, and with our ears, it's easy to hear farther. It would never really occur to us that the way that that's possible is because we actually extend out and are connected to what we're sensing. We've been led to believe that there's this sort of barrier, which is our skin, and that through light or sound waves, somehow the information is carried through our eyes and our brain processes it. We've been brought up to believe that. He says it's not that way. He says absolutely, for sure, we are actually everything that we see. I know it is hard to believe. I mean, it means I'm that light, and it means I'm you and you.
Well,
So
it kind of
weird
makes
is that?
sense.
Okay.
See, Harvey agrees.
Well, yeah.
And I say that because for me, on occasion, like, I can sense if something's out of place, even though I might not be able to see it. At the moment, I can tell something's out of place. And then I find it and, I'm right. So if I can't see it with my own two eyes, if that wasn't the case, then how would I know that something was out of place?
A lot of those questions are coming up now because of, as we understand how things are occurring more and more, even on physics, even the scientists are running into these things that it's more and more difficult to explain them in what we would call classical understanding of how our senses work. And to simplify it out, Seth says it's because it's not what we've been led to believe, the mechanistic or objective viewpoint of how things work, but that actually we have a living connection with everything else. And if we could get to the point that we understood that, and remember when I use the word understand, that means that you not only learn it, have it in your memory, but you can bring it back and speak about it. That's what understanding means. If we could get so we could understand it, then we could go on and create our institutions, alright, based on that. Our communions, our community, our relationships. However, because of our belief, things have gone the other direction, and there's a lot of things that aren't working very well right now for a lot of people. And I'm not saying it's that way for everybody. Even within those situations, there's many wonderful things at work and wonderful moments and beauty everywhere. A lot of it depends on how you choose to interact and think. So, all right, well, what do you think, Maddie? Which one of these do you think is good to focus on tonight? Let me put it this way. Are you okay if we pick the one, Carol?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So up at the top, you simplified it, and something said,
My beliefs form myself and all around me.
Let's go ahead and write that. It may be modified as we learn more, but we'll write that. My beliefs form myself and all around. I don't know if the correct grammar is me, all around myself. Which one is? I believe for myself and all around me. We'll leave me right now. Okay. We'll box that, and now the detail of that, and I'll read it one more time, is, and I'll put the word, I'll make it personal. My beliefs form my reality, my body and its condition, my personal relationships, my environment, and en masse, my civilization and world. Okay. Well, we will let this soak in and see if it changes how we look at things, or if we get a better understanding of it over the week. One of the ideas is to look for stories that occur to you, which will be events or dramas that you can interpret in this way. And for me, what I ended up doing was paying attention to coincidences. If we look at coincidences with this statement in mind, then all of a sudden it becomes more clear as to why they're occurring. Because we're sending out, and then the coincidences that don't seem like they could rationally be connected, because they're not, we perceive them. For people who are totally rational and perceive coincidences, they don't explore it much farther other than saying, okay, well, it was random, things are going to happen that way, it's a coincidence. What I've learned is, as hard as it is to believe, there are other ways of constructing reality that aren't based on rationality. You can use rationality in order to move your mind in a controlled way so that you still are able to function. However, you're also able to construct and see and perceive reality in different ways. And if you begin to see these coincidences and understand that they are connected, then it helps you begin to get a glimpse that there has to be some other way of perceiving reality that isn't rational. That's why I've always liked anomalies and coincidences, because they were, to me, clues that there's more going on than what we were thinking. And want to say closing prayer?
Okay. Oh, thank you, Heavenly Father, for bringing us here tonight. Thank you for watching over us and guiding us. And thank you for helping us learn that our beliefs form ourselves and all around us. In Jesus' name.